This week, I've got Blinded by the Light, which is by director Gurinder Chada, who did Bend It Like Beckham, which is one of my favorite films, possibly of all time. Like, I love that movie. And it's based on the autobiography from Sarfraz Manzoor, who is obsessed with Bruce Springsteen, like, really obsessed, like, really, really obsessed. And it takes place in 1987 in Luton, England, and it follows a young Pakistani man named Javed, and he's kind of caught between two worlds. You know, there's, like, the traditional Pakistani values, living in a very white kind of not even middle class, probably England. There's definitely a lot of issues surrounding, you know, socioeconomics, racial backgrounds. Obviously, a lot of the issues I think that the characters deal with, unfortunately, are still issues that we're dealing with today. And the character of Javed kind of finds this outlet in Bruce Springsteen's music. I love there's like a fun buddy storyline between him and his friend Roops. There's a romance storyline between him and a character named Eliza. You know, there's like a teacher who's helping keep an eye on him. There's all the elements that make this kind of a clean, fun, good growing up film. This is how I will describe this film. I think this is a film for my parents, and I don't mean that as an insult to my parents, and I don't mean that as an insult to this film, but I personally did not connect to this as much, and I will say I love Bruce Springsteen. Of all the music kind of movie films we've had in the last, 2 years, like Bruce Springsteen probably music-wise is actually probably the artist I listen to as a most personally, so you know, I love Springsteen, but I don't love Springsteen as much as this character does. I think it gets a little bogged down in trying to do right by the boss. And sure, that's like a very heavy burden to carry on your shoulders. There's a lot of expectations on this. And so it's not a musical movie, but it definitely has moments that kind of flirt with that, which is an interesting approach. You know, again, we have had a lot of these music movies recently. So the fact that each one has kind of been able to find a different way to tackle that has actually been rather refreshing. Overall, I think it's cute. It's fine. If you see it, great. I don't know if I'm like, hey, you absolutely have to go out and see this movie. I feel like this is one that maybe like, hey, if it comes out on like Amazon Prime or Netflix or whatever in a few years or a year, like that might be the way to go see this one. No offense to it. It's just, I feel like my challenge is that there is nothing about it I had necessarily not seen before. Sure, it's great to see, you know, people of color in a starring role. Like this movie could have absolutely been made about a bunch of white kids, and it probably would have still been made, you know. So the fact that it has people of color as the leads and from a perspective that we're not necessarily used to is fantastic. But aside from that element, like I don't know if you can completely count on that. This is territory that Chada has explored before, obviously, like with movies like Bend It Like Beckham, that we've seen the dichotomy between like immigrant families and white families in England. And we've seen music movies, especially recently. And we've seen, you know, summer growing up tales. So it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, cool. All these elements together are fine. But where's the moment that really grabs me and go like, yes, this is a wholly unique original film. I don't know if I necessarily got that. I got kind of like, this is fine, this is fun. I'm going to go listen to a bunch of Bruce Springsteen after this. Overall, it's fine, it's fun. I don't have a bunch of nitpicky things about it, but I just don't know if as a whole it spoke to me. And so I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5.